Hey, here's a little disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the MAWP organization. And there are some themes and subject matter that may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is advised. Previously on the MAWPCAST, the guys talked about a lot of things over many episodes. Sometimes Potter talked with Chris, other times he talked with other people. After talking for a while, they would play a bunch of great songs from local musicians from all throughout time, and people would enjoy it. Sometimes the camera would work fine, other times it didn't work. Then, suddenly, one day, out of the blue, Chris had some back issues that prevented him from making it, and so Potter did the show all by himself. Now we find the show right where we left it, waiting to happen. Will Chris recover from his back issues and return to entertain us? Or will Dave finally come back and explain his confusing views on politics? Will the camera stop working again? Or will they eventually invest in something high quality and reliable? And most importantly, will they ever find any local polka music to play on the show? The answers to these pressing questions and more will be answered on this week's exciting episode of the MAWPCAST. Well, obviously, you've made it back from your back injury, so suspense is over.
I'm working through it. I got a appointment to see a specialist, but it's not until April.
Yeah.
Which is kind of lame because that's several months away.
Uh-huh.
And they actually gave me another option for another appointment, but it happened to be the second day of when I'm supposed to be in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, going, oh, really? I can't really make it. Because my girlfriend invested so much into that already, and we've invested so much time and stuff into doing it that I had to put it off another couple weeks, which is really kind of shitty. But you got to do what you got to do. But I'll just take it easy like I've been doing. Just try not to break myself more than normal.
Yeah, usually I don't have a idea for the title of the show until after the show's done, but I already got this one worked out. It's going to be Brokeback Mountain.
There's a perfect view of neither one. Here, look. All right.
There might not be camera on this episode of the MAWPCAST, which is no big deal if there's not. There doesn't always have to be video, It just doesn't matter to me. It's not important.
Fades in and out and shit.
Yeah, well, it's a cheap.
I'm trying to think that if we had like right here, it probably would.
Well, that could happen.
Or maybe up on that. Yeah, somehow. I know it's not going to stay there.
No, that won't stay there.
Oh, the camera's right there, but like that.
Oh, yeah.
You see, that would be a good area.
Yep. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Maybe I. The train came back.
I heard that. Almost.
Yeah. This is what we have to do when the rehearsal space is being used and we're recording late in the week because Chris has had a broken back.
Yep. I'm broken. And it's not broke back. So don't get that one confused. Right. Just clarifying that.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. So, in the days leading up to the show, I had a whole set list planned, and then you'd mentioned a couple bands. I wasn't able to actually get those songs I guess if we used our phones, we could get those songs today and play them on the show. But also, since I made this playlist for this week's show, I got even more different music. A couple old classics from the Tacoma area. I got some Eastern Star, as a for instance. And Eastern Star is a great band that was fronted by a guy named Mark and Mark Colt, and Metal Mark, and where's my glasses? And he was in a lot of great bands, and in the mid to late 80s, early 80s even, and into the 90s, and was a huge influence on the scene. Like, he was a really prolific musician and really talented, and just had a lot of the bands that got recorded. He had a hand in. Oh yeah, you can just tuck that up there somewhere. Yeah, you can move that back or over or anywhere that you might need. So I had glasses. They were handy. And again, I've lost them. Oh, I heard them. Yeah.
So, out the window, you can probably see the people behind us. They are not trying to escape anything or nothing like that. They are just trying to ride a train. That's it. They're all cool. It's okay. Because I'm pretty sure I can see. And if I go up there, let's see. All right.
And Natural Causes is his one of his first bands. Natural Causes had it was an all-star lineup of people in that band. Evan Purcell, Doug Mackey, Doug Mackey, Mr. Blackwatch.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah. Local legends, institutions in the Tacoma scene. So that's some really fun, rare, cool stuff we're gonna get to hear today. There's lots of other stuff on the agenda. Not having the mic stand right alone, that one thing alone makes things more difficult.
It does. Probably like we get some lavalier mics, or you can just check it out shirts like this. I ain't sure how well that's picking me up though, so
Not very well.
not that well. How about that? Is that better? There we go. This makes it harder to smoke though.
Yeah, professionals also have those foam condoms over their microphones all the time.
We're not professionals, so.
No, to keep the
spittle.
Yep.
And the wisp.
Yeah.
The wisping. I have a couple of those somewhere. I'll find them. Slowly and surely we'll become more and more professional at this, but until then we're going to be as amateur as possible.
Yeah. Well, it takes the pressure off.
Oh, it does.
Mm-hmm.
The more professional you got to be, the more uptight you got to be, or it just seems that way, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like, nah.
Because if we were really concerned about things, then we would always have to have the camera working. It wouldn't be caught seen in an RV to a new show.
Are you kidding? This is better than Wayne's World right here. This is awesome.
Yep, we can take the show on the road.
Can.
Do the show live from the Frisco Freeze.
There you go. That'd be cool.
They used to do radio shows from the local burger joints like that. Like, in the original heyday of rock and roll, there was tons of associated promotional events that were done at at burger joints just like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe that one. I seem to remember that there was a circuit of them that like Pat O'Day would hit. and he was integral to the whole Northwest music scene happening because Seattle had a dance ordinance where bands couldn't play. You couldn't do certain things where kids would come and see shows in Seattle because of this dance ordinance that was in place. Then people would throw shows outside of Seattle, particularly Pierce County. Part of the reason why Pierce County was so big and Tacoma was so big in the early days of rock and roll was because it was an outlet for rock and roll. They couldn't go to shows in Seattle, so they would have these shows in a whole circuit around Seattle, and then in halls and clubs and stuff like that. And Pat O'Day, who was a local DJ, would send them on this circuit. They were all involved with kind of like Etiquette Records. It was early on, the Whalers Ventures, that era. And they would all just... bands would get on that little circuit and play dances around all of them. Like at the where the Salvation Army is up there on 6th Ave, that's an old venue. There's the Armory that's up there by the County City building. That's a venue that they used to play. And then like I said, there's other promotional things like the burger joints. And they would come and do live broadcasts from the burger joint. So kids would want to come out and eat burgers and listen to the music that's playing on the radio.
Very cool. We could do this at Louis G's one of these days.
We can.
Do it on stage because nothing's going on during the week and stuff. We just set up on stage and maybe have them deliver us a pizza during the set and stuff like that.
That'd be great.
We wouldn't be able to smoke though. That's what I thought. Maybe we could do it in my van outside of Luigi's and have them deliver us a pizza. That would be cool.
The thing is, we can't do it anywhere. We can even just do segments here and there,
Yeah.
places like that. Like just do pickups here and there.
We need to do a not a time travel, but we'll be the Flash. We'll freaking go here, and then in the next split second, we'll be at a totally different location, and we'll make people try to figure it out. We won't be able to do it live, but it would be cool when it was done.
I'm dying to know if you ever saw any of these movies that you were talking about, like Aquaman or the Sherlock Holmes.
I did not see Sherlock Holmes. I did see Aquaman, and Aquaman I recommend for everybody.
Great.
That was amazing. The visual effects were great. The storyline was very cool. They had a bunch of, they have seriousness in it. They got comedy in it. They got some awesome battles and fighting and stuff. And it's just great.
Cool.
It was just phenomenal, I thought. I loved it.
So you really didn't see the Sherlock Holmes, or are you just denying it?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Because it's like people are just reaming it.
Really?
Like, people walked out of that movie. Like they're like, it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta see it now. I gotta see it. No, actually, I've been kind of hooked on the Orville lately.
Oh, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, Seth MacFarlane, right?
Yes. And
I've not seen it, but I know that.
I just finished the series,
Uh-huh.
and I got the DVDs, so I'll loan you the DVDs so you can watch it. You can watch it on your computer or whatever.
I might. I'm more likely to watch a movie occasionally. It's one of those things like on my last computers, I've watched DVDs and stuff like that, but it's but burning CDs and watching DVDs are things that tend to kill my computer faster. So I don't burn CDs too often. Now that the computer's on its last legs, now I'll burn CDs. Actually, I will probably. I can watch it.
Because
So,
it's like
yeah, you
4
can justify.
discs, and there's 3 episodes per disc. But it's like Star Trek, the lighter side. Well, they say they base it. It's pre-Star Trek, so there's no transporters. They have met other races and stuff like that, but they just don't have the technology that Star Trek has quite yet. So, and it's funny because, you know, some of the stuff they do is just freaking hilarious. So, yeah, that's cool. Some stuff's inappropriate, but Seth MacFarlane, so, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I can take or leave it. I mean, there's tons of inappropriateness in a lot of comedy and humor and
Mm-hmm.
content, whatever, and I'm not opposed to it. I'll watch things like that. I mean, even Seinfeld, if you really get down to it, there's a lot of inappropriateness throughout Seinfeld.
Tons
just
of-
like
oh, yeah. Well, that's all tongue in cheek.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
tongue
things
in
like
cheek,
that
yeah.
that paved the way for, like, if you go back in time and, like, TV used to be very clean cut and straightforward, and Waltons and Happy Days and stuff like that. And then slowly you got things like The Simpsons and then Married with Children. And Seinfeld also worked in that vein of, like, we're adults now and this is how we're going to deal with things. You know, people have sex, you know, and
Yes.
stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know where we are in terms of making a show. We've just been having a rambling intro because it's all chaotic day, but we should probably play some songs.
What we got
And
going on today?
we're going to hear a whole bunch of things. Like I'd already said, we will hear a song by Eastern Star, and we'll hear a song by that other band that he was in, also Mark Holt, the Natural Causes. And we're going to hear a song by A-Leaf and Psycho 78, and maybe something by Ashbib and Low There and the Ventures and all kinds of stuff. And we're going to start it all off
Nice.
with The Center Cannot Hold.
All right.
You think the snow belongs to the cloud, but baby, it is
fog is thick. The night brings the owl's call. Moss clings to the forest floor. Like your corset grips your breasts.
coming soon, and I'm feeling kind of hopeless. Rescue me, rescue me. And we oblige them with our palms up and eyes down, like lambs to the slaughter. I could use something, someone to come and rescue me from my insanity. Say the writing's on the wall. Rescue me. They say the end is coming soon, and I'm feeling kind of useless. Rescue me, rescue me. Say the end is coming soon, and I'm feeling kind of hopeless. She's wearing white shoes, just like I am. She's riding the blues under blue skies, and she's holding a red pen, wondering why we are all here. She rides into town, works at a bakery. She'll take a week off, fly out to see me, and she'll hold my attention up to the lights. We are all here. She's wondering why, just like we are. She looks up to the sky, hoping for a shooting star, and she's holding her breath as it passes by, and we are all here. Do you know how much I love you? Does she know how much you adore her? She's wearing white shoes, just like we are. She's riding the blues under the blue stars, and she's holding the world in the back of her mind, and we are all here. Yeah, we're all here. Yeah, we're all here.
So we just heard
We just heard a train blasting its horn. No,
we just heard White Shoes by A Leaf off the album A Leaf, and then Rescue Me by Psycho 78 off Desperate Times.
yes.
Fog and Leaves by Novum 3 off the album Fog and Leaves. Novum 3 Novum 3. Novemthree is how that name is spelled. At a glance, I was like November 3.
Yep.
Because November 3 would make sense. But
Yep.
November 3 makes less sense. But who am I to judge? I was in a band named
exactly.
Bonzort, and that made no sense at all.
Yep.
And
the alter ego band, Trosnop.
Yeah. And then
Or
so
was that just a code word?
that was the code word.
Oh, okay, that's right. All right.
Silver, the song Silver started us off by The Center Cannot Hold. There you go. There was that set of songs. Yeah, A-Leaf. They've got some good songs. I've only got that one song by Center Cannot Hold. And I want to get more from them. They've got to have more recordings.
Just gotta dig deeper, try to find them.
I can just ask them.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
They're
that
fairly
was-
contemporary band. I'm pretty sure they're still around. I'm not positive.
Oh,
But they
okay.
played the last park show last summer
Oh, okay.
here somewhere that I can't find. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. So anything else exciting been happening since we last partied, Chris?
Let me think here. Not a whole bunch, really. I mean, just dealing with my backs. I've been just kind of just chilling, hanging out, coming up with ideas for things and whatnot, and prepping for some upcoming shows and whatever. So, just not a whole lot. But now that I am somewhat back to my normal self, I could get back to the normal debauchery and whatnot. So, yeah. I don't know about watching that movie now. I'm kind of weirded out by it.
Which one, Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah. I'll talk to Ashley about it.
Well,
She'll do.
I don't want to. I don't ever say things to sway you or
Oh, I
make
know.
you feel weird about things, or because okay, first of all, I wouldn't want you to waste your money, but people and critics, they're not always right about things, and you
No.
could find it quite funny, but also it might be the kind of thing that you'd much rather wait to come around.
Oh, yeah.
On
There's a possibility
Yeah.
that will happen. I'll just let her know. Because, I mean, if people are literally walking out, then, when I wanted to see Aquaman, if people were saying that they were walking out of that, I still would have saw it in the theaters because of the graphics and everything.
the spectacle, yeah.
Yes. And Holmes, that is a movie that, it doesn't necessarily have to be seen in a big screen format to get it.
No.
There's not like a bunch of, spaceships or whatnot happening. So
There are
there might be, you never know. There might be spaceships in it.
there are
You know.
good bad movies too.
Yeah,
There are fun, dorky, cheesy movies. There are some movies that are admittedly terrible. Just so yeah, I wasn't telling you that to sway you from going to see it, but I was interested in if you had saw it, what you had done, because like I've heard stories about like whole families going in and then like splitting off. It's like I'm out like one at a time,
Oh, wow.
like seeing how far each of them could make it, and
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I do know that there is another movie that came out. I don't know if it's already out or not. I mean, I think it is out. That people might be kind of weirded out by is Mary Poppins Returns.
That's get mixed
I
reviews.
saw that and I was just
Oh, you saw it?
Well, no, I didn't
Oh,
see it, but
oh.
I saw it when I was watching another
Okay,
movie.
gotcha.
They showed a preview of it. And I've seen Mary Poppins, the original one, when I was a kid,
yeah.
growing up and stuff. And when they showed it, I was just like going, holy crap. Because when I saw Mary Poppins to begin with, they did magical stuff in that. There was magical effects in that the original ones at that time. It was just incredible. And they did it again. They did it in a way that you're just like going, wow. This is awesome. And it totally brought me back to being that kid again, watching it, being that youngster, watching this amazing spectacle and stuff. So I have to see it. And I have to see it on a big screen too, because there's cool stuff and I could tell already. So yeah, so that's my next venture. That's one that I don't know if my girlfriend's gonna want to see, but If it is, then cool, whatever.
Has she seen the original?
I don't know if she has or not. I don't
Well,
think she has.
If she saw the original, she might be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's on Netflix or something, I'll have to go. No, I kind of doubt it. That's a Disney one, huh? That's kind
You're
of
probably right. Disney's very
Yeah, they got
restricted.
their own
Yeah.
channel apparently now. I think. So.
The Disney streaming service is I don't think it's out yet. But again, that's something that you'll probably just dig entirely because they're going to have Star Wars, they're going to have Pixar, they're going to have all the Disney content, all the Fox content, all the Star Wars. Now they're probably not going to have it all accessible all at once, but I venture to say you're going to get the Disney streaming service as a fan of certain properties because they're going to have original Star Wars shows.
Mm-hmm.
And these Star Wars shows are going to have like $1 million episodes, Game of Thrones level, like Star Wars shows. And they're investing a lot of thought
coming
and
out
time.
with the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, and they're also having a Diego Luna. He was in Rogue One. The Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor is getting his own miniseries or something.
Which guy was that?
In Rogue One, there was what's her name and Cassian Andor, the dude and the chick who were all the way through the movie, who ended up dying together at the end. Rogue One.
How is he getting an offshoot movie if he's dead?
It's a prequel.
Oh,
prequel series.
Oh, gotcha.
About him in the rebellion, you know.
Oh, gotcha.
You know. Yeah. And then yes, the Mandalorian. I'm not following too much about it because I already know I'm not going to watch them. I'm just not going to watch them. I might watch them eventually when they're on DVD and they trickle down to me somehow or another, but I'm not going to watch them as they come out. I have no interest in these stories on the surface other than I like Star Wars, and so I will eventually watch them, but the movies, the main movies I'm into, and I'm not opposed to the other movies. I saw Rogue One in theater. I didn't see Solo in the theater. It's okay. I don't feel like I miss anything not in the theater, not on a big screen, because the experience isn't that great. Not that it's great on a small screen or a computer or anything like that either. If the story's good, the story's good, and it doesn't matter what kind of screen I watch it in. I can enjoy it just the same. The movie-going experience is rarely so great that it makes it worth the time and money spent for me, because those aren't the things that I'm going for. I always feel like I've got so much other things to do. Because it's hours to sit down and do that. I can't multitask. I can't do other things. I can't go to the bathroom. If I'm paying money for this thing, oh man, by the end of like Infinity War, I just had to piss so bad. I saw it twice, and I just had to piss so bad by the end of Infinity War every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
I know. The movies are getting crazy long nowadays. You know what they need to start doing? Intermissions.
Intermissions would be.
Fuck. Why
Okay.
can't they do a goddamn intermission? They did
So-
it back when the movies were an hour long. They did an intermission.
Yeah. I don't disagree that an intermission, there's nothing wrong with that concept at all. So, I mean, I have big societal problems with movies. That movies cost millions of fucking dollars. $100 million to make a movie that has to make $100 million to break even, you know, and that's, you know, not always even including their marketing and shit like that. So some movies have to make so much money to make, and, you know, that's like so much money that's getting just sucked out of the world and into a few people's pockets who aren't necessarily doing anything with that money that's useful.
I was hoarding it.
So that can be frustrating to then contribute to that, especially like, you know, when I see people like who don't have a lot of money. Not that they're making the best choices with their lives either, you know.
Yeah.
But society gets geared towards feeding people who are pretending, and putting people on a pedestal who are just pretending, and giving them trophies and millions of dollars for pretending. And this is like the stuff that ends up getting emphasized in our culture, and this is why we kind of end up with president like we do. So
I laugh when I hear about. Are you gonna watch the Grammys? No, I'm not gonna watch fucking a bunch of actors patting themselves on the back for doing what they're paid to do. Okay, cool. You did a great job. Okay,
no, the Grammys is the song one, right?
What?
The Grammys is the song one, right? You just pulled a Potter big time, buddy.
Grammy, Oscars. Well, that too.
No, but,
I mean, even the song one. I mean, it's the same thing. Because
I just love it that you did that, and I didn't do that, because usually I do that.
Yeah,
sometimes
because,
intentionally, but
it's
not
like
always.
You're doing what you're supposed to do. I get it. Have that party, but don't make it like everybody has to watch, or you don't know what's going on, because I just don't get it.
Well, that kind of emphasizes that whole point, is that because listen to some people break it down and what the Oscars mean to them, because it means something different to different people. And some people are like, yeah, but you get to see all these famous people coming dressed up in this really great fashion and stuff like that, because that's what some people are watching it for. And some people are watching it to see what the movies win, because they're so invested in movies, because a lot of people watch movies as a viable form of entertainment. It's just it's very accessible. It's very accessible to everyone. It's the most accessible to everyone at any given moment, really, other than music maybe. But even music is not being marketed to us like movies are. Movies are being marketed across the board. Music is being marketed in slices here and there. It's not marketed well anymore. It's not like we don't have the big a couple people market themselves very well, because I know what happens with Taylor Swift. When Taylor Swift has a record, I end up knowing that she markets herself well. A few people do, but for the most part it's just like
Yep.
But so these Oscars, they represent different things to different people, and that is not all the best reflections of society. But it does tell you a lot about what society's values are.
Yeah.
And they're not all they're widely misplaced in all kinds of ways. And people get so upset when someone wins an Oscar and then uses that platform to say something that they would deem as political. It's like, I don't want politics in this. And people say that all the time, and I understand that too, is they don't want politics in their entertainment. But unfortunately, we live in a world where that is just the nature of things now. It's like that has been it's hit a boiling point. It's it's oversaturation or something. I don't know.
I know. And I've heard many people say when they hear about some musician or whatever making a political point, they just tell them, well, play your guitar and get off the podium. We want to hear your music. We don't want to hear your political views. And I get that in some aspects, but I mean, there are, like you said, like what you were just saying, people want different things from that, and I get it, but it's just, I just find it silly that some people will drop everything just because one person says something, from their point of view, and it's just a point of view, but they'll change they'll overlook reality because of what somebody's point of view is.
That's the power of pretending.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know what? We live in a world where we can pretend, and pretending is really cool, and we emphasize that. So you know what? I'm going to participate. I am going to pretend just what I want, and I am going to live with that pretend. And fuck you. That's what they'll do. It's like, it's like, hey, we've seen that kind of prejudice play out, where it's just like, oh, you talk to that person, so you are like that person, because whether you know what that person's political views or what they do in life is or not, you just associated with that person who I hate, and since you associated with that person I hate, then you're the enemy. Fuck you. You don't even know how bad you are. You're the devil. Yeah, it's a fine line. We should get into music, and we're going to start off this music with that Eastern Star song. The Edge of Night by Eastern Star. That
Nice.
great lost classic from the late 80s, early 90s. I think this song probably came out, it was probably recorded in 1992, if I know. But I'm not exactly positive. That's when I think it was recorded.
92.
92.
I'm so confused on what to do with all my time. Maybe I'll sit back, relax, in fact, write another rhyme and focus on my mind and the thoughts I put inside it. Cause I've been fucking up real bad lately, it's been nothing but violence and sirens and demons and reasons for leaving. But I stand up real quick, fight back, feel this, cope with, deal with everything coming at me, choke on realness, soak up the illness. Fuck with the villains, break into buildings, don't hurt children, taking the millions. Fuck taking pills to cope with my feelings. I put them on the paper and I hope that they feel this. This is some real shit, taking a field trip into my village. Witness me kill it. Let me get up on the fucking mic real quick. Hating on me, you can die slow, bitch. And I'm sorry for the negativity and all the energy I get to do, but all these motherfuckers got me pissed. I'ma keep it how I know it, I'ma speak it how it is. I'ma just do me and adjust how I live. Start lying low, writing raps at the crib, and save my dough, let it stack till it's big. I'ma watch out for the foes and the snakes and the tricks and the people laughing at me, you can suck a fucking dick. I'ma do it how I do it, I'ma get it, never quit. I'm a little insane, but a lot focused. On the sickest I get it, I'm finna spit this shit. You bitchin', I'm winning, we'll go and get yours then. I'm never gonna stop going hard with the bars. 6 feet deep with a mic in my arms. That's really underground like my lifeless dog. Sometimes I wanna drown so the light turns off.
It's funny how these fake motherfuckers try and play me. So my motto is fuck you, pay me. I think you're mistaken, I'm not the one who needs saving. Scrape me up from the pavement, so sick of being patient. Eyes too vacant. Past few months, shit's too heavy, head's way too messy. Make me wanna pull the mask in the semi. Whole town, better catch a case. You're stuck in the past like you're running in place. Everything's coming down, it's all rain to me. Everything that I feel is all pain to me. Fuck your pills, I don't need pain relief. There's no saving me, just dig the fucking grave for me. Nothing's what you gave to me, you're just a fucking fake to me. Just a flake to me, I'ma make you fucking ache and bleed.
Feeling real lost like a baby in a field in the fog, and it feels like I'm wrong to be running through the pond in a motherfucking thong, hoping that I see a frog, but I don't, so I run to your lawn and I pitch a fucking log, fucking squat like a dog. What the fuck is going on inside my dome? I don't know, but I'm in a fucking song. I would show my mom how to cuss a lot. Fuck, cunt, bitch, slut, fuck a thought. 9 lives blowing up like the Funko Pops. And we going, never stopping, always flowing till we popping. Thought I told you that I'm awesome, you be dropping, but you flopping, and we never gonna stop. Better go hard like a motherfucking rock. Ooh, how's that metaphor? I've been getting better for years on years, but I've been ignored. 9 lives here when we opening the better door.
We gon' fuck you up, bitch, do you get this? We got sickness, we prolific, we go distance. If you wanna get up in a motherfucking business, suck our dicks in, I'm just kidding. We got visions, big ambitions, table switching, we the sickest.
Okay. That was 9 lives. Alright. Where's my glasses at? What's going on here, Chris?
I have no idea.
Yep. Oh, stop. Undertow by 9 Lives. Before that, we heard band I used to be in, Papa Wheelie. Song called Rig off of our 7-inch. And The Eel in the Room by the Lovely Bodies off their demo. And Edge of Night by Eastern Stars, what started it off. That song might not have been recorded in 92. It may have, it may not have. I don't remember exactly. Yep, there you go.
It's cool hearing that Papa Willie. That's one of my favorite ones. Like it.
Thanks. Yeah, someone requested it because I haven't been playing any. I did slip a song in another episode actually. It's
Nice.
just not, I'm not trying to have a show where I play songs from bands that I was in. I was in some of these other bands too. Just so it's not me on there,
What about the damn it? I'm trying to figure out the name of that one song that I like. It was Bonzor's song. It's a number
361.
361.
I've got a recording of that. A live recording from the Red Roof Pub. And maybe that'll make it in someday.
Yep.
We'll see. There was a track by Bonzort on the MAWP comp that was taken from a cassette that was recorded in Bob's garage in a ghetto blaster, and it was mastered in a studio. But it's just like the only Bonzort recordings that exist are that I know of are that one cassette from Bob's Garage with John Metcalf playing bass. And that was like the last thing we ever did. And then there's also that 4-track recording from the Red Roof Pub that was recorded by Heather Lum in like 92. And a couple of those songs made it on a compilation she put out called Tacoma Happens, with bands like Spooge and the Jolly Ranchers and Ivy and Ashbib, and then Bonzord, of course. And then we got the master recordings of that, which we used for our demo. The Poor and Lazy demo by Bonzort. It was just a live recording. So those are the only recordings that I know of Bonzort that exist. There could be some old garage recordings from different eras still out there here and there, but it's unlikely that any of those are still around. None of them were ever like super high quality. No studio recordings of Bonzort exist.
That's too bad. That was cool stuff.
Oh, we were a cult classic.
Oh yeah, that was part of the cult.
Yep.
All right. So what else we got coming on?
We are going to hear that Natural Causes here a little later. And below there, Cut Winkles, Ergo I Exist. Maybe we'll throw in an Ashbib song. James Hilborn and the Painkillers. It's all what's on the upcoming slate here
All right.
this afternoon. There's more. Even more. Well, see, I'm saying some things, but what if they don't all make it? You see, I've got a 2-hour playlist here, and not quite 2 hours, but generally speaking, when we do a show, we talk for 45 minutes to an hour, and we play an hour and 15 minutes or so of music, approximately. These are approximations, but that's the way that it's always kind of worked out in that general vein. And it also works out, we do 3-4 song segments and an 8-song segment, or 10, 12, whatever at the end, to round out the show. So and the playlists are kind of loose and flexible, and once we play the songs and talk about the songs, they're locked in. That's what's going to be in the show. But if we don't talk about them, then they're not locked in, and that's flexible. And so sometimes at the end of the show, also when we're playing songs, when we're leaving, those songs can change depending on what's going on. It's very free form. And like I said, the playlist even changed today, and I can start to think about it too much very easily. And it's like I don't really want to think about it too much. I just want certain demographics sort of represented, like some old music, some rap, some women singing, some punk, some metal, some rock, some alternative-ish, college-ish stuff. Just a wide variety. I can't hit every decade, every episode, because there's just not enough music that I have from certain decades. And I don't want to, again, think too much about it. If I don't hit any of those certain things at any certain time, then that's just the way it goes. There's 2 trains out there.
God damn. This is the train episode.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. They're real trains. We don't get your minds all going weird out there. Jesus.
It's called Brokeback Mountain. I already told you. They can think whatever they want. It's an audio podcast. You don't know what's going on if you're not watching it.
Still.
Yeah, there's no thought put into the titles of the show either. It's like there's random movies that I pick, which is great, because my reason for doing that is that the movies exist. There's something familiar right away that like someone sees, or it comes up in search results. Like they can be searching for a movie, and then this comes up. What the fuck is this? And there's something about that, and I caught this from Zeke. Zeke used to do this. They used to name all their songs after other people's songs. Like if you go back through time, all the way back in time with Zeke stuff, like they had all these songs that were named after other people's songs, and you'd be like, Ace of Spades, I do Ace of Spades. It's like, oh, that's not Ace of Spades. it's not ace of spades at all. It's like, and so they would that's just an example of something
That's awesome.
yeah. And it's a good idea because people but it's not that fools them. It's just that familiarity is there. It's like you have some association with it or something. At least, if nothing else, you got trolled and you listened to it,
Yeah.
And so, and that's all that matters to some people. It's like, you listened.
Yeah.
In the world of social media, what some people don't understand is that it's any interaction is positive in terms of algorithms. It's like, that's getting attention, so it's going to go viral just by getting attention.
Don't mind that train. That's not a train. It just sounds like a train, but it's not.
Our sound effects department, it's going crazy.
Yeah, we're trying to still dial in the sound effects machine. Sometimes it just goes off randomly. I don't know what's going on with that.
We could film people really easily. Film this guy right here. It'd be great.
Should I wave to him?
I'm waving right now.
Hey.
How many people on the train?
Yeah, eventually somebody's got to look over here. Somebody's got to wave. Like that wave. Hey, look. Hi. Hi. Look, I thought she was looking for a second there, but no.
She pretended not to look. She was talking to someone. She didn't want to be embarrassed.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Come on, people. Somebody out there. Yeah, they're all caught up in their own world over there.
Yep.
Whatever.
I was listening to someone talking about with the whole podcast explosion and how it's really good because people listen more to things. Like it's getting people invested in listening again. First of all, it frees people up. Like it's entertainment that you can listen to in your car or on the go with headphones or wherever. And
you could do something and it doesn't take away from your visual aspect of anything, so you can do anything.
Yep. You can pause it, unlike live radio, where you can't pause it, and you can rewind it, unlike live radio, where you really can't, generally speaking, in conventional live radio when you're listening to it in your car or whatever. There's all kinds of these aspects that is just like, so while some people are like, is podcast going to last? Is it just a fad? It's like, I think it's like a very accessible, viable outlet for entertainment for the future, indefinitely. Like it might not be as big as it is now. It might get way bigger because of it's the nature of it. It's and it's not like I'm trying to cash in on anything. It's just so accessible. I'm not making any money off of it, so I couldn't really cash in off of it. But it's just the format of it is perfect. It's perfect for exactly what I want to do. Make songs playable for people from this scene that aren't ever getting played or getting heard. And I say that all the time when you need to beat a dead horse, but that is what the show is. It's a show that plays Tacoma and the greater Priest County scenes music from all of time.
And we get big enough, we'll get people calling us from bands that we never thought of.
Hey, and
has that happened already?
Well, here's the thing too: is it does people from outside of the community, the initial community, do hear it. People are downloading it and listening to it from other places.
Yep.
So, some of these people obviously probably lived here and were in these bands or stuff like that, or just whatever, or just fans of you and me. But the overall speaking, it can have an appeal that is beyond just our general focus of people in town. Yeah. So we're not trying to alienate those people who might, be just finding us and thinking, oh, this is cool, but whatever. We're not really trying to appeal to anybody.
No.
Yeah. It's just that's incidental. Should we play more songs?
Let's do that.
What do you want to hear? I could suggest something and you'll just say yes because you don't want to say no.
How about a polka?
How many polka, Chris?
Man,
that one didn't get resolved.
Right. Tacoma, help me out here. There has to be a polka band that originated, formed, and was created, and has some sort of recording from here. Come on, that's all I'm asking for.
You know, I bet you we could go down to the Swiss and just sit down at the Swiss and start asking. Like, you know, it's like, we need some polka music. Who plays polka here? Like,
Well, that's probably
put us in touch with them.
You probably get somebody.
And
to do
someone's got to have a recording of it, because, you know,
Yep.
so I'm just sure that they do. It's got to happen.
that. Well, see, I don't have my glasses on, so see where the blue line is?
Yes.
Skip the next one and play that one.
Skip the next one.
Yes.
This one?
Yeah, skip that one
Skip it.
and play that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Pop Spoiler in the Deadbeats. And his...
I got a word for you. The word is love. It makes you wanna push, and it makes you wanna shove. Check out my new friends, they fit like a glove, and you know that it's cool. You know that it's cool. It's all my future. You see
peace and do no harm. Civilian laws abolished. You pick up your toy gun to brave the front line. How can there be something won when the front line is really behind you? From your land you hear the battle cry. You run, you trip, you fly, you don't ask why. It's easy to play. School's out today. The bomb drop on the next guy's heart, out on the front line. He was your best friend, so what? He had already lost his mind. From his land he heard the battle cry. He ran, he tripped, he flew, he fell, he died. It's easy to play. School's out today. John Wayne on TV. What you know, what you see. From your land you hear the battle cry. You run, you trip, you fly, you fall, you die. It's easy to play. School's out today. To die, so don't ask why. There's no thanks for your giving. A Mr. Tuesday, forget to cry. You're dead, you're told this is living. You think the flames you saw were in the devil's lair. Well, don't you think the war is hell? 'Cause there are no innocents down there. From your land you hear the battle cry. When you trip, you flew, you don't ask why. From your land can hear the people cry. When you trip, you flew, you fell, you died. It's easy to play. School's out today. It's easy to play. School's out today. It's easy to play. School's out today. There's peace here to stay, at least for today.
All right, we are back, and we just heard Frontline by Natural Causes. That's very old. And that had, who was all in that band? Well, we had Mark Holt was in the band, Mark Wand. Mark Bader was singing, and I think that Doug Mackey was playing drums, and Evan Purcell was also in that band. And that was the lineup there. I have it written down there somewhere, early 80s. Yep, some ancient stuff from the local alternative scene, some new wave punk. Oh, we also heard other things in that same set. Little Green Aliens by the Cut Winkles off of the Leaf Green album. And Shimmer by Low There. And
Great band.
You Know That It's Cool from Pop Spoiler and the Deadbeats off the Redshift compilation. Low There is a band you were saying that they used to have a different name, a longer name, but now their name is shorter. Their name was Low There.
Far Out There Brother.
Yeah.
And they were great.
No, they're still great. That's still great. That's a recent release within the last year, and it sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're cool.
Yeah,
they're so good. I mean, it's just like there's a band out, and I wish I could remember what they are now. Oh wait, can I remember what they're? Resideus. Was a band.
Rings a bell.
A while ago, and they turned into another band, and I can't remember what the name of that band is now. But it was weird because as they played, they did sound check, and I go, "Wow, you guys sound just like you remind me of this one band that I just loved at this other venue," and I still have their hat. And he goes, "Oh, you sent out one of our hats." And I was just like, "Oh, it's you guys?" He goes, "Yeah, it's us." You know, the different lineup and stuff, but yeah, that's us. I was like, "Oh wow!" You know, I'm glad, and I was so glad that they kept that sound because it was cool. It was a great sound. So, gotta love it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Again, every time I make a set list for every week, I'm like, "Oh man, still haven't got this. Still haven't got this." In this set of stuff, I did slip a Rhino Humper song in because I've got one handy. I've just the recordings that I've got of other stuff. It's not the best copies anymore. It's all worn out. So I'm really wanting to get the best quality recordings of a few things as possible. So, yeah, I've been lacking on playing some things. And then there's some things I just haven't got yet either. I do try to collect a few things every week, at least, to add into the collection. But all told, I think my local music collection is still under, like, 3,000 songs. And
well, how many Rhino songs do you have that are good enough to listen to?
Oh, I only got the one handy. Like,
because I have a vinyl.
Yeah.
I could record those.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to figure out how to patch into the system. I'll figure all that out.
Yeah. When the system's set up in there, we can when we're in the room, we can do anything in there. We can record tape into there, vinyl, whatever. And yeah, we had I had the, like, for instance, the Join the Family 45. I thought was in here, or the cassette, and it's just not, except for the one that you brought, which is, it's just likely that someone has absorbed that into their personal collection at home. Like Bob, for instance, probably has a large section of stuff that would normally be here, and so that would represent some things that I would have access to otherwise. And that would be more than just the Join the Family, but also, like, for instance, the Rhino Humpers Bro for Life and Super Sneaky cassettes that they did. All of which would be great to get digital copies of, because that's just a bunch of songs. Some of them are really good songs, especially for me, their earlier stuff was really strong. And then Sedated Souls is another one, again, that I'd just like to be able to get to play more of.
What about Mr. Grinch?
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times. Waiting to hear back from Mark. Mark Fletcher.
Thought that stuff was awesome.
They were very polished and just a really good band for their time. Absolutely. Mr. Grinch was. Were they Before Christ after that? They became Before Christ, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, they were Before Christ, Mr. Grinch, and that evolved from Point of Entry. Yeah, a lot of those guys. I remember, there's Mark and Wes and Ron Lavoltney was in and out of the project there.
Ron Waltane.
Lavoltney.
Is that his name?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
To be not to.
Redhead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a printer up on South Hill now.
yeah, Ron's great.
Yep.
It's a really great guy. So yeah, very anxious to get that, talk to him, waiting for Mark to get back to me, because he said he's got recordings from all that stuff.
So would you have any, speaking of Ron, any 8 Days Clean?
No, it's another thing that I've now I thought I had a disc laying around, and just assumed that I did have it, but I don't find it anymore.
Something that
So
I could talk to Ron about, because I got to talk to him about getting some of my T-shirts made, anyways.
cool.
So yeah, so maybe I'll talk to Ron about that. See what he says.
Yeah, that's great. Like anything that he's been in, of course. It's always great to get more stuff, especially from certain genres and certain eras and certain individuals and certain bands. There's stuff that just hasn't been touched on yet, and so yeah, we don't want to exclude anyone. We just haven't got a good copy of their stuff yet to play. And these are all things that I want to get into regular rotation, into the format. I want more stuff from the 70s and stuff, and there's just not a lot that I have direct access to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less of it. It was not as prolific of an era, like, because it's surprising how much was recorded in the 60s. Like, there's a ton of recordings from the 60s from this area, from like right here. That's crazy. Like, and then for it to drop off so drastically is crazy. But then when you do dig, you find obscure things from all sorts of people, because they all kept playing. All those people, well, not all of them, but a lot of them kept playing.
But they just weren't.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it was, a lot of people were not. It's like, it's the whole Seattle thing. They automatically stopped associating themselves with a certain area so they could get that big name.
Yeah.
That, and I'm thinking that because I mean, I'm sure during the 80s that happened. The late 70s, early 80s probably had a dropout of local stuff here, but the scene here was huge though.
At times,
really big, yeah.
I mean, that varies, because so sometimes the scene is largely contingent on outlets. If there's not outlets, then it's hard for it to be a scene at all, because where are people going to see bands at parties and stuff like that, and even that's going to be a thin, small margin of people that are getting access to those bands. So it is things like a venue that can galvanize a scene, and people can point to and say, we saw these bands there at this place. And it is often like these venues that become like oh, that's a place we can play. That's an outlet for us to play, for our music to be heard. Now there are more different kinds of outlets like this, but even still, that same problem exists, is where do you put your music out there to get heard? And so yeah, we provide something like that here, so people and for their music from all time to be heard also. But as far as venues, like it'll be harder to for a scene to emerge around something like this, but for a scene to emerge around a venue, that's much different. And people do, like, if there's a really good venue, they can latch onto it. It can be like their home base, and they can always point to it. Like if it's a nice, clean, reliable place, or a safe place, or a fun place, whatever, then you get your name attached with that place also, kind of. Like in the 90s, Papa Wheelie played the Central a lot, and that it was kind of like it was our home, sort of. It was like our home base. We could play there was other clubs, but we weren't as it like the Victory Club was a rival of the Central for a while, and it was not quite as much, didn't fit our style quite as well as the Central did, for instance. It wasn't as welcoming to us, and vice versa. Central was more our speed, but that then again, that it kind of underlies my point, is that these kinds of venues being there helped the scene, like just obviously any venues being there is going to help the scene, but giving them outlets, multiple outlets for different types of music and competing music that is similar but competing.
Yes.
It's healthy to have venues competing with each other. And one of the, like, I remember back in like 2009, 10 years ago now, when I was over at Seafair briefly booking that for a while, and I remember a night there in the summer of 2009 where it was hopping. It was just packed. The whole place was packed wall to wall. And on that same night around town, there was stuff going on at every club in town, and places that didn't even have shows were having shows. But there was something at the Hell's Kitchen. There's something at Hell's Kitchen, a big show at Hell's Kitchen, like Dick Dale was playing at Hell's Kitchen this night. And there's something at, this was pre-Louis G's, but there was something at every place in town, the New Frontier, and there was something at the Java Jive, and something at the Goldfish out in the North End. Just all these little bars, all these places having shows, and every one of them were packed. And people were hopping from bar to bar and going, oh, I got to go see this band at this bar, and then I got to go see this band at this bar. And this was in 2009. This was not that long ago. And stuff like this rises and falls. These scenes, like, in these clubs emerge, and the bands come, and sometimes they come to meet that. Sometimes people are just like, oh, there's so much going on. I want to be in a band and be playing in this scene because the scene's vital and hopping right now. And sometimes it just dies, but you get people who keep playing right through that dead scene, you know. So yeah, support your local music and your scene in any way that you can.
Absolutely, always.
Because that waxes and wanes too. The fan base, the people, people, you know, get, you know, they sober up, or they get too drunk, or they like have to go get a job for a while, or, you know, move on with their life, or they have kids, or they go buy a place, or do all these different things. So, creating a new audience perpetually, that's a big trick for people. And
That is.
that's something that some people tend to overlook, and they tend to focus on the same people they've been marketing to forever, and wondering why they're not getting the same response to that. And it's because the tastes change, and the scene changes, and the people change. And so if you want to remain vital and keep an audience, then you have to then start directing your attentions in different ways, in different places, to different people, and grow your audience. And you know, you either need to appeal to a younger audience, or accept that you're going to have a diminishing audience, because your audience is going to get older, and they're going to get less likely to come out. And there's nothing wrong with that, with appealing to a niche, but just understand that, you know, you might not get the same crowds, and don't be bitter about it, or figure it out, and, you know, write some stuff that appeals to a different broader audience. And this is not to say sell out, but, you know,
just maybe look into options
and things.
that are
Trends come and
alter stuff too. You know,
trends come in cycles too, so you can just sit there and do the same thing for 20 years, and you'll eventually be popular again.
that is true.
Yep.
That is true.
And on that note, Chris, we'll let you go get back to your traction.
Yep. my drugs. Yeah, I gotta go lift weights.
Yep. And we'll see you in spring training, hitting home runs out of the park.
Yeah, home runs out of the park. Yeah, I'll be lifting probably 250 by then. Yeah, jumping about 15 feet high. Hopefully, running about 17.5 miles per hour. That's what my goal is. You know.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, this was the MAWPCAST. Thanks for listening and for all your support and everything. It's been great, and we will see you next week.
All right. Until then.
Good timing, train.
When I first met you, I thought your name was Dude. Well, that's what Jason said. And then we let you
Let me run it down. Let me run it down. Running down. Cities burning, pages turning. Hope you love me even after I pull the curtains. Nothing can stop the hurting. I'm a different person, still lurking, still flirting. 100 verses flow so perverted. Cause I closed the casket, leaving nothing but the mashes and maybe some maggots. Burned it down with some matches. Now that's what I call magic, ayy. It's do or die, like I'm ready to ride the death of ego, so fuck your pride. I used to let it slide, now our words just collide. So step it up, you can have it all, so prep up. I'm surprised that you kept up, but like the dust on the floor, you eventually get swept up. That's where you become a man, that's where you realize you're not a part of the plan. Never the main stage, back up like a third string. That's why I broke my cage, wrote fuck you on the front page. Super twisted tail, too stubborn to fail. Who the fuck you know control their destiny? Bloodlust, that's my fucking ecstasy. Aye, aye.
Well, just let me sit here and drink beer. Well, look, I heard the stage one time, you got on the stage, and just stood there in the 8 minutes and walked up, got $1,000. I'll drink this beer and I'll leave, right? Just keeps up, I mean, of all you guys off the shit. I mean, of all you guys off the shit.
All eyes on the velvet cake, yeah. Out the morning, keeps us free. Cash it in for the devil's sake, yeah. Breathe it in, but never breathe it out. Your colors are what is there. All the night keeps us down from dying. No, it's not even there. Change from green to red. I know this living is all in my head. A pretty wings sing on the waves, killing discussions along treading flames. Breathe it in, never breathe it out. Your colors are warm and fair, yeah. All the lying keeps us down from dying. No, I don't even care. Killers in the shed again. Killers in the shed You look around, but still I'm nowhere to be found. Staring down, looking at the ground. It's all the same now, that nothing's gonna ever change. All changes, man, nothing's gonna stay the same. Ooh, and I've never really seen it all. Ooh, and I'm never going anywhere. Ooh, and I've never really seen it all. Ooh, and I'm never going anywhere. Ooh, and I
punch every gun just as fast as they can. Never wanted to forget it, I just wanted you to get it, understand?